This program is brought to you by Link TV for educational and non-commercial use only. Mosaic, a daily news program from Link TV, presents a selection of news reports from independent and state-controlled broadcasters from throughout the Middle East.
An Al Jazeera correspondent in Cairo reported that a security source in the Sinai said that the Egyptian authorities are currently searching the Sidr al-Hittan area in central Sinai, looking for 3 Palestinians who are thought to be a part of a Hezbollah cell.
Meanwhile, since yesterday evening, authorities have continued their targeted search for 10 Lebanese who are also considered to be in the cell.
In Cairo, details are still unfolding about what is known as the Hezbollah cell case. This was paralleled by an escalated political situation, causing a regional reaction to the case with new implications. The Deputy National Security Chief issued many charges against Egyptian and Palestinian detainees, including collaboration with foreign fronts, referring to the Lebanese Hezbollah, stockpiling arms, and conspiring acts of sabotage. In the Sinai, the Egyptian security services carried out a wide-scale search campaign in pursuit of 10 Lebanese and foreign nationals who are believed to belong to a Hezbollah cell. According to legal sources, investigations indicated that the main Lebanese suspect, Sami Shahab, began forming this cell 4 years ago with the aim of transporting fighters and weapons to the Palestinian resistance in the Gaza Strip. However, the cell began to monitor the wave of Israeli tourists in the southern Sinai with the objective of targeting them in retaliatory attacks after the assassination of the leader of Hezbollah, Imad Mughniyeh. However, according to legal sources, Hezbollah decided not to carry out such attacks, avoiding crisis with the Egyptian government. Meanwhile, on the other side of the border, in the Gaza Strip, the Hamas movement was surprised by being pulled into the case through what it called baseless accusations. According to a statement by the movement, such accusations are aimed at changing its political position. It reconfirmed its solidarity with Hezbollah. Tehran also did not hesitate to show its solidarity with Hezbollah.
The buzz surrounding Sayyid Hassan Nasrallah, the resistance fighter, is a backward political scenario that aims to affect the upcoming Lebanese parliamentary elections. It is an attempt by those countries who are accused of collaborating with the Zionists during the Gaza events to return its glory and status.
تصريحات لاrijani تأتي بعد أيام من اعتراف الأمين العام لحزب الله.
Larijani's statements came days after the Secretary General of Hezbollah admitted that Sami Shahab belongs to the group, indicating that his mission was limited only to providing logistical support to the Palestinian resistance. Along with Larijani's statements, newspapers in Cairo made accusations that the Iranian Revolutionary Guards trained the Lebanese suspect and indicated that he attempted to send many of the other suspects abroad so they could receive similar training. During the Israeli war on Gaza, Cairo and other Arab capitals expressed their concern over Iran's support of groups like Hezbollah and the Hamas movement. The Arab states considered such support as an effort to expand Iran's regional influence that serves its national interests.
The Israeli president, Shimon Peres, expressed his satisfaction with Egypt fighting Hezbollah far away from Israel. Peres said this during his visit with the Rabbi Ofadia Youssef, the spiritual father of the Shas movement and the Eastern Jews, on the occasion of the Jewish Passover holiday. Peres said that the world will find out sooner or later that Iran has ambitions to take over the Middle East.
In the editorial column of Surrender, this is where the Hamas movement has listed the telephone call that was made by Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas to the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. The Islamic movement described the phone call as a, quote, very negative message to the Palestinian national dialogue. This is the first contact between the two leaders since Netanyahu became prime minister. While Israeli media described the call as warm, the Palestinian Authority said that the call aims at reviving the peace process with Israel. Meanwhile, Jerusalem is facing the worst campaign of Judification and displacement against Palestinian residents by Jewish extremists. Shahrukh Assad reports from occupied Jerusalem.
Yesterday, Israel prevented thousands of Christian worshippers and visitors from entering Jerusalem to celebrate Easter. 2 days ago, Israel prevented Muslim worshippers from holding prayers at the Al-Aqsa Mosque. Amidst this, the Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas telephoned the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, extending holiday greetings for the Jewish Passover holiday. This is the first contact between the two leaders since Netanyahu was sworn in as prime minister. While Israeli television described the call as warm and friendly, the Palestinian Authority described it as nothing more than a reminder to Israel of the peace process.
The purpose of the call was to remind the Israeli public and government that the Palestinian people and their leadership will continue to extend their hands towards a lasting and comprehensive peace, a final settlement that will help put an end to decades of conflict.
The call comes as Israel continues to escalate its settlement campaign, being carried out by the Israeli army, with the support of the political institution in Tel Aviv. Israel continues to target the Al-Aqsa Mosque and carry out raids against Palestinian homes in the West Bank. Israel also continues to issue warnings of demolition in Jerusalem. The call comes after comments were issued by Netanyahu and his foreign minister Lieberman, saying that the two-state solution launched at the Annapolis Peace Conference is no longer valid.
The current Israeli government requires us to form a unified Palestinian, Arab, and international position, a position that will lead to the boycotting of the Israeli government. The Israeli government continues to reject the two-state solution. It also continues to adopt apartheid policies against the Palestinian people.
The Palestinian Authority believes that there's still one last opportunity left for the revival of the peace process, which has to do with the positions of the international community, especially that of the U.S. president. This issue may become clearer when the Palestinian president embarks on a visit to Washington, which will hopefully come before another separate visit scheduled by Netanyahu.
In our top story, the Navy is investigating what it believes was a potential terror attack this morning as a booby-trapped Palestinian fishing boat exploded 300 meters off the Gaza coast. The vessel was unmanned and was heading north towards Israel at the time of the blast. When the boat came within 600 meters of an Israeli patrol ship, sailors fired cannon shots over its bow. The boat then blew up. It may have been triggered by remote control. Navy ships had been keeping the boat under surveillance for close to an hour when it exploded. According to IDF Chief of Staff, Lieutenant General Gabi Ashkenazi, speaking at a ceremony supporting organ donor cards, the Palestinian fishing boat carried hundreds of kilos of explosives and was intended to attack Israeli naval ships.
Israeli tourists in the Sinai were the intended targets of the Iranian-backed Hezbollah sleeper cell arrested in Egypt last week. According to senior sources in Cairo, the group planned to abduct and murder Israelis vacationing in the Sinai Peninsula. IBA's Aaron Viner has the latest.
One of the senior Hezbollah operatives admitted to Egyptian interrogators that the primary objective of the terrorists was to target Israeli tourists in revenge for the 2008 assassination of arch-Hezbollah warlord Imad Mughniya. The group also engaged in the smuggling of terrorists, explosives, weapons, and millions of dollars in cash into the Gaza Strip and Israel. Egyptian police today launched a massive search for 10 additional Lebanese fugitives in the Sinai, believed to be hiding with Bedouin in the central area of Al-Nakhl. Security officials fear that the suspects will attempt to enter Gaza via the myriad of secret tunnels under the Egyptian border. The 49 Lebanese, Palestinian, Egyptian, and Sudanese nationals were today charged with spying for a foreign group, in addition to plotting to destabilize Egypt. Cairo has called for the arrest of Beirut-based Hezbollah chief Hassan Nasrallah for dispatching the terrorists. Egyptian President Hosni Mubarak last night told Lebanese Prime Minister Fouad Siniora during a telephone conversation that Egypt will not allow anyone to violate its borders or destabilize the country. In a rare admission, Nasrallah publicly acknowledged stationing Hezbollah agents in Egypt, but denied accusations that the terror group is attempting to destabilize the Egyptian regime. Explosive belts and other bomb-making devices were confiscated from the group, which was actively scouting Israeli tourist sites. While counterterrorism experts in Israel today voiced support for Egypt's efforts to clamp down on terrorism, they warned that Iranian influence in the Middle East is accelerating, and many undetected terror cells continue to operate in Sinai and the heart of Egypt. For IBA News, this is Erin Viner.
Meanwhile, the Bureau for Counterterrorism in the Prime Minister's office today announced that it has grave and immediate intelligence warnings regarding an additional Palestinian terror cell from Gaza operating in the Sinai under Hezbollah command. The cell is also reportedly seeking to attack and abduct Israelis vacationing in the peninsula over the Passover holiday. Thousands of Israelis have nevertheless chosen to ignore the repeated warnings and flooded through the Taba crossing into Egypt to the popular holiday destination. While the majority of this year's visitors are reportedly Israeli Arabs, hundreds of Jewish citizens are believed to have entered Egypt as well.
Reacting to the growing tension between Cairo and Hezbollah, President Shimon Peres said, "It's good they're fighting without us." He made the comments following a visit to the Jerusalem home of Shah spiritual leader Rabbi Ovadia Yosef today. Peres added that the world will soon grow to realize that Iran is trying to take over the Middle East. Peres' comments were the first by a high-level Israeli official on the matter. Knesset Speaker Ruby Rivlin also participated in that meeting. Rivlin told reporters that both he and Rabbi Ovadia were worried that many Israelis find themselves apologizing to the world over the legitimacy of the settlement movement and even over Israel's very existence.
Israel's occupation of Gaza and the West Bank means there is no free movement for Palestinians between the two territories. The West Bank has effectively been cut off from Gaza in every possible way, but hundreds of families from the coastal strip live in the West Bank after moving there many years ago. One of those is Sheikh Khalil's family. 6 years ago, their daughter was detained by Israel, and upon her release, she was sent to Gaza. As Noor Uday now reports, it's a decision that has torn her family apart.
This is not the homecoming 23-year-old Shireen Sheikh Khalil had dreamt of. Israeli authorities released Shireen to the besieged Gaza Strip after serving a 6-year sentence, accused of participating in an attempted kidnapping of an Israeli soldier in the West Bank, a charge she denies. Originally from Gaza, Shireen's family moved to the West Bank 15 years ago, so she sees the Israeli decision to send her to Gaza like being sent into exile. Shireen's mother has returned to Gaza to hold her daughter in her arms once again. She now risks having to stay there indefinitely, as Israel may not let her out again. A high price for a hug, but a price she is willing to pay.
I hope the roads between Gaza and the West Bank open again so I can go back to my children and my husband.
For Shireen, the joy of freedom is incomplete.
Of course I'm happy to be free, but I was hoping to see my dad and sisters in the West Bank and my friend Farouz. I miss them all.
Shireen's family lives in this neighborhood in Al-Ram, south of Ramallah. This is where they were hoping she would be released to so that they can have that family reunion they've been waiting for 6 years. But because of this Israeli decision, the family is now disconnected, their joy incomplete. Inside the Sheikh Khalil's home, Shireen's pictures adorn every corner. Her sister Nisreen is 22. She left school after Shireen's detention to take care of her parents who fell ill. But news of Shireen's long-awaited release did not end her family's ordeal.
For 6 years, we were denied permission to visit her. Every time we applied, the Israelis rejected our request. Only in the past were my younger sisters allowed to visit a few times. So when my parents heard of the decision to send Shireen to Gaza, they were distraught. None of us could feel happy because now my sister and mother are away, which means our suffering will increase and I will bear the burden.
The Palestinian Authority has promised the family it will do all it can do to help bring Shireen home. But the decision is in Israel's hand alone. The family says hope is the only thing they have left to hold on to until then. Noor Audi, Al Jazeera, Al-Ram.
In a landslide victory, Algerian President Abdelaziz Bouteflika has won the presidential elections for a third term.
The overwhelming victory by Algerian President Abdelaziz Bouteflika has come as no surprise to knowledgeable media and political sources in the country. It also came as no surprise to some of the candidates who ran against Bouteflika in the presidential elections. It was clear from the start that Bouteflika would win the presidential race, as he was declared a frontrunner from the start of the election campaign. During a press conference, the Algerian Interior Minister announced the results.
President Abdelaziz Bouteflika has won 12,911,705 votes, or 90.24% of the votes. Louisa Hanoun has won 604,258 votes, or 4.22% of the votes.
The victory by Bouteflika for another presidential term has not generated strong reactions amongst the public, with many doubting that such a victory may lead to major political changes in the country.
We are neither convinced nor satisfied with these unfair results, which were imposed on us. There's no way that one candidate could win more than 90% of the votes.
What happened in the elections will make us stronger. We must continue to defend the civil rights of all Algerians. This will make us more determined, God willing.
Abdelaziz Bouteflika, who won a third presidential term, enjoyed the widest public support during the elections campaign. In addition, Bouteflika's political agenda was clear and specific, as he vowed to continue the country's peace and national reconciliation project, which he launched during his second term. Bouteflika also vowed to achieve development in the country as well as improve the status quo.
We solemnly promise to continue working towards change and development in the country.
The normal security conditions and strong voter participation is a two-way victory being declared by Algeria's political institutions. This is also a victory for Algerian President Abdelaziz Bouteflika, despite the opposition's disapproval.
The Lebanese President Michel Suleiman called for a zero-tolerance policy towards the criminals that attack the army, emphasizing the need to pursue them at any cost. An Al-Arabiya correspondent in Beirut said that 4 members of the Lebanese army, including an army captain, were killed and nearly 11 others were injured in an ambush that targeted an army patrol on the Riyadh Road in the Zahra district in the Bekaa Valley. According to a member of the official National Lebanese Media Agency, the patrol was attacked by a B-7 missile. Initial reports indicate that those involved in the incident belong to the Shiite Al-Ja'far tribe. Some of the tribe's members were previously sentenced in a drug case. The Minister of Interior, Ziad Baroud, said that the army is off limits and it is unacceptable to attack the army like what happened today. He indicated that an iron fist policy will be used to prevent a repeat of these kinds of incidents. Baroud said that massive military forces of the Lebanese army, reinforced with heavy military equipment, is headed towards the Shirwana area in Baalbek. To follow up on the latest developments, Adnan Gamloush joins us from the Lebanese Bekaa area. Adnan, what are the most recent developments regarding this incident?
As you mentioned at the start of your report, the Lebanese army has started reinforcing its forces and units here in the Bekaa area, specifically on the streets of the Sharwana neighborhood near the city of Baalbek, where the Jafar tribe is located. The incident took place near here, where I'm standing. Armed assailants launched a rocket-propelled grenade on a Lebanese military Humvee. 4 members of the army were killed and an army captain was wounded. He has been wounded but not killed, as some media outlets reported. A Lebanese military helicopter transported him to a hospital in the Lebanese capital of Beirut. He is being treated. I learned that his wounds are not severe. The car that was carrying the armed assailants who launched the RPG on the military vehicle was found by the Lebanese forces about 2 kilometers away from the site of the incident. It appears the assailants abandoned the car and perhaps escaped with another vehicle. It was a black Pathfinder Range Rover. Of course, the authorities are pursuing these assailants. Senior political leaders in the country and various Lebanese political fronts have widely condemned this crime. They are calling for the perpetrators to be arrested and tried. Of course, they said that they are responsible for everyone, especially during this very dangerous situation. It may be the first time that the army has been so massively targeted by armed groups belonging to a family or tribe.
Different points of views have existed for a long time within Iraqi-Russian relations, but President Noor al-Maliki's visit to Russia brings with it many solutions to many outstanding economic issues, especially pertaining to energy. Maliki has called on Russian companies to return and complete the derailed energy projects they left unfinished since the fall of the former regime.
After a period of stagnation in Russian-Iraqi relations since the fall of the former regime, the Iraqi Prime Minister has come to Moscow to write a new page in Iraqi-Russian relations. Al-Maliki confirmed the need for the renewal of Russian petroleum contracts that were signed during the time of the former regime and were suspended shortly after its fall. This comes as a result of Russia's position of support to Iraq. An example of this support is the canceling of part of Iraq's accumulated debt to Russia.
We see that the visit, from this respect, is an attempt to revive old projects and developments that the Russians or the Soviet Union had contributed to developing projects in Iraq. As I said before, Russia contributed to the oil industry, and we all remember the role that Russia played in searching for the Rumaila fields.
The Iraqi government wants to continue the dialogue with Russia in order to coordinate technical cooperation and implement scientific ideas with the goal of increasing cooperation between the two countries through the investment of energy, construction, and oil. Russian companies have a long history of work inside Iraq.
This is a strengthening of an important and vital aspect of Iraqi life in respect to services and investment. This needs to be the structure for a foundation of long-term investment in Iraq by strengthening the role of international and global corporations, including Russian companies. I agree that these Russian companies are going to play a large role because they have been present in Iraq.
An announcement was made about the format of a bilateral team to decide on the agreements that were signed by Russian companies and Iraq before 2003. Since the security issues have passed, the Iraqi government is trying to strengthen Iraq's international role and establish a strong investment base that is consistent in the way that it treats all investors.
The spokesman for the Pakistani Foreign Ministry condemned the repeated American attacks against targets inside its territories. During a press conference, he said the repeated American missile attacks inside Pakistan is in violation of his country's sovereignty. He added that this subject matter was already discussed during the last visit of the American envoy to Afghanistan and Pakistan, Richard Holbrooke. The Pakistani government took this position after an American attack on a vehicle in northern Pakistan killed 3 people.
Convoys carrying supplies for the international forces that go through Pakistan territories have been receiving one blow after the next. The latest of these attacks took place in the city of Peshawar, near the tribal areas in Pakistan along the Afghan border. Members of Pakistan's Taliban are active in these areas, which explains why a number of trucks carrying fuel to the international forces were destroyed. Officials in charge of protecting these convoys refrained from accusing any particular side, despite the fact that the government holds the Taliban's Pakistani armed fighters responsible for these attacks.
These trucks were attacked during the late hours of the night while they were transporting fuel to NATO forces in Afghanistan. We cannot blame anyone until the investigation has ended.
A deterioration in security was not exclusive to the attacks on international convoys, but rather other dramatic events took place in the Swat Valley, which is located in the same region. The man who's been mediating peace between the government and the Taliban, Sofi Mohammed, announced that he will stop his role as mediator. This may cause tension to return to the Swat Valley and may threaten peace agreements that were signed with the regional government. Political observers believe that the spread of the Taliban's ideology may threaten this country at different levels.
Talibanization threatens the stability of this country at the economic, political, and strategic levels. There is fear that the Taliban's activities may affect American relations with Pakistan, which are already strained.
The ongoing attacks on supply vehicles and the collapse of government efforts to use the stick and carrot policy may complicate the security and political situation in Pakistan. The deterioration in security in the tribal areas of Pakistan has caused people to be concerned about the future of security throughout Pakistan, especially in the capital of Islamabad. The terror threat has been elevated to red, but this has not decreased the infiltrations of armed members, which pose a big challenge for the Pakistan security authorities. Farooq Muhi al-Din, Al-Alam, Islamabad.
Get more news about the Middle East online at linktv.org/Mosaic. The Mosaic webpage offers a complete archive of Mosaic programs, program transcripts, the Mosaic video podcast, and the Mosaic Intelligence Report, a weekly analysis of the hottest stories from the Middle East. The views expressed on Mosaic are those of the participating broadcasters, not Link TV or its sponsors. The production of Mosaic is made possible with the support of viewers like you. Thank you.
This program is brought to you by Link TV for educational and non-commercial use only. Link TV is the only U.S. network dedicated to global and national news, uncompromising documentaries, and diverse cultural programs which connect you to the world.